Yes, I'm so excited to be back. This is week 3 of Talk Tuesdays, and today we're going to jump into work ethic. So I'm so excited because this is actually like my second time recording this, and I don't know what happened with the first recording. So I'm so happy that the equipment is working because that was scary. But today, for Talk Tuesdays, we're going to talk about work ethic. And before I jump into that, I just want to give a brief antidote about what the podcast is about. This podcast is about self development. So I jump into these topics and I give you the meat first because I don't want to consume your time, but the ideal behind sharing this information is for you to hear something and then go apply it in your life or go work on it within your life. It's not my intention to have like a one-sided conversation, although I understand it's a podcast and I'm recording it idle Terry presently. The intention is for me to share information that you can pick up and apply. So that's what this is. This is a self-development podcast called Talk Tuesdays. And let's jump in it. I wanted to talk about work ethic because right now I'm really struggling with what work ethic means to me now because of COVID. I live in New York, and one of the best things about living in New York is being social. So my schedule has always been dictated upon what I'm doing socially. So if I'm in a dance class, I'm at that side of town. Oh, I'm in an acting class, I'm in a vocal coach, I'm in school. My schedule has always been dominated by something and also allows me to be social and get things done. So to be in a space where everything is limited to the internet, so now I do dance in the house. I do acting over Zoom. I'm in class on Zoom. I'm doing all those things in this one space. It's really crippling the joy of being in a super social city. And it's also affecting my schedule every week. And I try to go with the flow and not be hard on myself, but my schedule forever, almost all of my life, has been dictated on my relationship with other things that I have going on in my life. So I'm thinking about work ethic and what that means to me and how I developed my own work ethic. So I give you a little backstory. A couple years ago, I had a really shitty job. Really shitty job. I have a background in fashion, luxury retail. So I can basically run a store and run a fashion line with my eyes closed, hands tied behind my back with a blindfold. That's how long I've been working in the industry. So, about 3 or 4 years ago, my skills specifically was transitioned into online, and I lived in a city that wasn't dominated by an online economy. So I kind of was shit out of luck. I had this skill that I used to get paid for that I no longer could get paid for. So I said, you know what? I'll chill. I'm gonna take something, and I took this job. In the interview, the manager mentioned how much he wanted to pay, and I stared at him. And he looked at my resume, and he knew I was completely capable of doing everything he expected without him micromanaging me. So he said, "You know what?" He changed the rate, and he told me, "Don't tell anybody else what I make." And that was a red flag. Now I know what red flags are. That was a red flag. I should have known. As I started to work, I realized the company had no morale. And morale is the environment, the culture, the community within a business, within the people that work there. That was non existent. Specifically, I remember for me to get to work, I took public transportation and I had to be there at 7 a.m. And I couldn't get there at 7 on public transportation. I could get there at 6:30 or I could get there after 7. And I remember waiting outside the store for someone to let me in, and a manager, the store manager, I believe, showed up and said to me, "Well, why do you come so early?" And that was another red flag. I've never had a superior question punctuality, but either way, that was another red flag. But that was an example of the morality. Anyway, as I started to work, I realized that no one was really watching what was going on. I knew there were other people in the store because I know the business of fashion. I know the business of retail. I know there's a loss prevention department. I know there's other people that have things to do before the store opens, but no one felt the need to say, "Hi, I'm here," on the loudspeaker or when walking past you. So I started to say to myself, okay, I'm going to get this done because I want to go home. I just want my money. That's all I want. I want my money. I'm going to get this done and I'm going to go home. But I kept saying to myself, this is between me and myself, because my manager's not even checking on me. Either he had 100% confidence in me, or he just didn't have time to. So I would do my job and get lost, right? I would go home. And that was work ethic for me. Doing something in a space where I got it done. It affected other people. It affected the customers. It affected the business. And nobody really checking for me. I had to do it because it was something I wanted to do. And I realized at that particular time, the bigger thing for me was paying my rent. I loved my apartment and I wanted to keep living there. So I'm going to work. You don't got to watch me. I'm going to get it done because I want to pay my bills when payday comes. And I think that's a huge contingent for work ethic. Something bigger than yourself. I think, I don't know, for me personally, showing up with a bottom line that's about me, I can always change my mind, right? That's what's going on with me right now with COVID. I could get on the computer. Like, what's the bigger purpose? I think that's a huge contingent to recognize when dealing with building your own work ethic. And usually I share like some books or, something to support what I'm saying, but I literally developed work ethic through life experience. No book kind of taught me that. But right now I'm kind of dealing with it differently because I'm physically in a space that I'm not able to leave. Everything in my city is like curbside pickup. As I list all those things I do, like even the library, I could take books out, but I could just go and get them and leave. Like there's no function that I can do outside for a long period of time outside of like driving or being on a bike. There's literally nothing to do. So I'm always questioning, how am I working in my schedule? And I'm rolling in with the changes, but it's really having a daunting effect on me and my deliverables because it's just me by myself. Another major contingent I think for work ethic is accountability. We spoke about that briefly last week, but having a team of people or just different people you have relationships with that hold you accountable is extremely helpful with work ethic. If someone's calling you like, oh, did you finish that project? Or, oh, how's that going? That's extremely, extremely important with work ethic. So everything we're learning each week, we compile on top of one another. And I completely understand that the information I'm sharing is kind of, it should be conversed. It shouldn't just be me saying something. Ideally, I desire to say something and you pick it up and you're able to use it in some way. But I'm considering creating some type of community outside of the podcast where people can ask questions like, oh, how'd you get from A to B? And for not only myself, but other people to share. But for right now, we're here. And we're going to figure out how to be more connected. I think that's also a huge contingent for me right now with work ethic, feeling connected to the process. Work ethic. So I'll get out of here and you can work on that. I'm going to work on mine. See you next week.